really, really funny with you. And so I thought and thought and thought, and I mean, I can't count the times that you and I laughed till we hurt. We laugh a lot. And I asked Brenda, Brenda, what's a funny story about Kyle? And
Oh, don't ask Brenda.
well, no, you ought to be glad I asked her. She might have saved you. So, and Brenda said, well, we laugh a lot, but, I don't have a real funny story. So I asked Richard.
Oh, gosh.
If anybody has really funny stories on Kyle, and so the consensus between Richard and Brenda and I was that, you're squeaky clean.
You should have asked me.
Mary, we're going to give you your turn. So, this relationship goes back to the early 80s. Our children were infants.
Yeah.
And met the Mabrys, your parents, and started hanging out in life. And, we had lots of stuff in common, most of which we started was around the Lord and church and fellowship and things that we did. And then we started vacationing together and doing things together. But, we've lived life with you since you were, really a young boy, 10 or 12 years old. So, and then our relationship grew over the years, from, where it was a family-oriented thing, Kyle and Richard and David Cherry, I believe, started an accountability group, which I had never been part of, which was probably, if I look back, these guys were probably, along with Brenda, but the most impactful people in my life, those were special days and special times. So Kyle and I ended up evolving into, a close friendship. We have lots in common. I know we're both hardcore snow skiers. I do want to tell you something that in his 50th year, his goal has been to beat me off the mountain. He might not ever admit that. He beat me off the mountain.
That's worth applause.
It took me until I was 64 years old, but he beat me off the mountain. But we had a lot of fun on the mountain, and we've had lots of fun for lots of years on the mountain, whether it's golf and we're foodies and travel. Kyle's, thankfully I get to work in China and do some things, and Kyle showed up multiple times, so we've had lots of laughs and funs. We've been to Italy together to see the Mabrys in Italy and spent time in Milan and around, so we've had, lots of good times. So, business. I want to talk about business. And Paul asked me a question a little bit earlier. He said, were you Kyle's first boss? And so while I can't really confirm if Kyle worked in high school or whatever, but I can tell you once he graduated from Baylor, I was his first boss.
Second.
And not only that, Mary showed up. You remember that, Mary? We all worked in Dallas, and that actually, I'm going to say unfortunately, but fortunately for him, our first task was we had this store we had to close. And Promenade. And one of the glories about closing a store is you can fill it up with stuff and make lots of money really fast. But it's a
So it takes Steve a long time to close a store because he knows he can make money.
He
drags it out.
Yeah, you could make a year's worth of profit in about 60 days. Maybe the first time you ever made money with that store. But anyway, so we had this deal, and we were closing the store, and Mary came over because it's Kyle's first job out. We're all in the register, and we're running and running. Well, whatever this 2-month period, Kyle says, I'm going to grad school. I ran him out of the retail business really fast. So your whole American Airlines career is due that you just hated retail. You thought you wanted retail, but you didn't. True story. That's a true story. But then probably also as, Brenda and I discuss you and all the times we've spent together, I don't know, I even reminded, I saw a picture from our trip when we went on the Mavs trip, all over traveling with the Mavs and Cuba and the whole, just all the fun things that we've gotten to do and what a blessing and that, I've gotten to be included. But the one thing that all of us would agree about Kyle is he cares. He's never would, I can tell you, I don't know anything about any individual conversation he has had with any of you, but I can tell you that if he's with you, he cares about you. He's checking on you. He's offering great advice. He's well thought out, which also, by the way, back into his business and why he's, hanging out with all the things that he does is that he does his homework. He cares. He's thorough, and that's the reason why you're where you are. It's because you care about people and you care about doing a great job. So I'm going to close with one last thing. So yesterday we had the pleasure of watching Mary's early years and Bill's early years and back from the Civil War and all the way through.
Hey,
Mary-
I'm not that old.
You're not Mary, but your ancestors were. What a moving, great story, Mary, from where you came from, of nothing, and living in the girls' home. There were things I learned about yesterday. Bill, and I think you described his honoriness, and, the path that y'all took. And then I thought about watching the movie, but then I thought about what Kyle's, if it's not his favorite verse, it's one of, and one that he and I have discussed. So I'm going to read it to you, and then, so in Habakkuk 3:17 and 18, it says, though the fig tree should not blossom, nor fruit be on the vines, the produce of the olive fail, and the fields yield no fruit, the flock be cut off from the fold, and there be no herd in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will take joy in the God of my salvation. So Mary, this whole relationship that you started with Bill, there wasn't any fruit on the vine, there was no cattle in the barns, there was nothing there but the redemptive power of Jesus Christ and what he's done for y'all's family. And Kyle still lives that today, and that's what puts that in his heart, that he knows where this all came from, but the joy is in the Lord and his salvation. I love you.
Amen.